Very good evening, students. Today, my topic of discussion from the module of renewable and non conventional energy is Unit 4, that is energy from biomass or biomass energy. Myself, Dr. Rajesh Chidwa, Assistant Professor, EEE Department. So, the basic course objectives are to understand the different biomass conversion technologies, to know about the different types of biogas plants, their basic advantages, disadvantages, constructional details, site selection criteria, digester design consideration, filling a digester for starting maintaining biogas production, fuel properties, and utilization of biogas. So, these are the basic things that we are going to study from this module. Coming to what is biomass? As the word says, bio and mass. So, something that is related to organisms that use photosynthesis in order to make their food. So, plants grow through photosynthesis process which takes place primarily in their green leaves. Biomass is mainly in the form of food and it is the source of energy. Biomass is used both in domestic and industrial activities by way of direct combustion. Hence, we use solar energy in the form of biomass for cooking and heating purposes. The dominant use of biomass or fuel wood in the world has made cooking and heating primarily possible in rural areas. So, the raw materials that we use for biogas production come from agriculture, waste from forest, rural animal waste, urban waste like leftover of food and rubbish, and aquatic waste like fishery, algae, and hyacinth. So all this combined together gives us what we know as biomass, and the conversion of this biomass into useful energy gives us the main basis of the topic, that is energy from biomass. Now, coming to the biomass conversion technologies. So, these are basically chemical processes, but the yield or the net output from the process is different. So, this is a tabular thing where first one is the conversion process, then the solids, then the principal liquid products, then the gases, then further treatment, and then the premium fuels. So, wet process, it's very important, is divided into two parts, that is anaerobic digestion and fermentation. What we get is that ethanol. As gases, we get methane and carbon dioxide. We remove the carbon dioxide so that we get methane, and in the fermentation process after distillation we get ethanol. Coming to the chemical reduction, where we get a mixture of oils, fractional distillation is done where we get hydrocarbon liquids. Now coming to thermal processes like liquefaction, gasification, steam gasification, and hydrogenation. What we get is that char, pyroligneous acids and oils and tars, some amount of fuel gas, some amount of methane. We go for steam reforming or Swift reaction, and finally we get methane, methanol, or higher order alcohols. And hydrogenation is mixture of oils, and by fractional distillation we get hydrocarbon liquids. Also, there's a process of oil extraction that basically yields vegetable oil, and by esterification we get a diesel substitute. So these are the basic processes that we mainly follow, and of which anaerobic digestion is of greater importance. So if we want to know in details, then we have to write these processes and tell about them in detail. So biomass conversion or simply bioconversion can take many forms like direct combustion, like thermochemical conversion, like biochemical conversion. So thermochemical conversion has two forms, gasification and liquefaction. Gasification takes place by heating the biomass with limited oxygen to produce a low heating value gas, or by reacting it with steam and oxygen at high pressure and temperature to produce medium heating value gas. Biochemical conversion again takes two forms. The very important one, that is the anaerobic digestion and fermentation. So we have anaerobic digestion and fermentation. Anaerobic digestion involves the microbial digestion of biomass. So, what is anaerobe? It is a microorganism that can live and grow without the supply of air or oxygen. It gets its oxygen from the decomposition of the matter containing it. It has already been used on animal manure, but it is possible to use with other biomass. And then the process of fermentation. Fermentation is the breakdown of complex molecules in organic compounds under the influence of a ferment like yeast, bacteria, enzymes. And fermentation is a well established and widely used technology for the conversion of grain and sugar crops into what we get is ethanol. Now, coming to what is anaerobic digestion, if we get this question. So, as we have already discussed, anaerobic digestion, like biomass conversion technology, is concerned taking into microorganisms, and these are living creatures which are microscopic in size and are invisible to unaided eyes. And there are different types of organisms like bacteria, fungi, virus. So, bacteria can again be classified into two groups: beneficial and harmful. Compost making production of biogas, vinegar, etc. are example of beneficial bacteria. But there are certain harmful bacteria that cause human diseases. So anaerobic digestion mainly takes place with the help of anaerobes, which can grow without sufficient amount of air or oxygen. And bacteria can also be divided depending upon the oxygen requirement. So those which grow in presence of oxygen known as aerobes, and those which grow without the presence of oxygen known as anaerobes. So this is the basic chemical reaction for the process of anaerobic digestion that the students can easily go through. Now, coming to the advantages of using anaerobic digestion as a major process for the conversion of biomass into biogas. So, the main advantage is the first advantage is the calorific value of the gas. So, one of the main benefits is the production of a byproduct, the biogas, which has a higher calorific value. Next is the new sludge production. That is the conversion of organic matter to methane and carbon dioxide results in a smaller quantity of excess sludge. Then we have the 3 point, that is a stable sludge. In the case of municipal digestion of the main reason is to produce a non-putrescible and inoffensive sludge. Number 4 is the low running cost. There is no aeration in the anaerobic treatment naturally in this digestion. Running costs are also very low. Then, number 5 is low odor. Since the system is enclosed, the odors are also enclosed within. Compounds which are responsible for odor are broken down during digestion. Number 6 is stability. A well adapted anaerobic sludge can be presented unfed for a considerable period of time without appreciable deterioration. And number 7 is the pathogen production. Work has shown that passage of the effluent through the digester reduces the number of pathogens present, therefore requiring subsequent disposal problems. So these are the major advantages of anaerobic digestion that makes the process so very much useful. Now coming to other processes, as we have already discussed, there are dry processes like pyrolysis, liquefaction, gasification, steam gasification, and hydrogenation. And all these processes, they yield to certain byproducts, and the combination of these byproducts basically produce a biofuel. So, coming to now how we produce the biogas. For that, we need plants which are known as biogas plants. And these biogas plants are typically divided into the three main classification processes, that is, the continuous type and the batch type, the dome and the drum type, and the different variations in the drum type. So continuous and batch process. Now in the continuous plant, there is a single digester in which the raw materials are charged regularly and the process goes on without interruption except for cleaning purpose or repair purpose. In this case, the raw material is self-buffered like cow dung or otherwise thoroughly mixed with the digesting mass where dilution prevents sourcing and biogas production is also maintained. The continuous type of plants are again divided into two subgroups, that is a single stage process and the double stage process. In the single stage process, the entire process of conversion of the organic compounds into biogas is completed in a single chamber. So this is the gas storage part. We have the scum layer, the supernatant outlets, the supernatant layer, the actively digesting slurry, and so this is the sludge inlet, and this is the dilated sludge, and the sludge can be removed out. So this is a single stage continuous type plant. Coming to the double stage process. The double stage process is a process where the process is divided into two stages. The acidogenic stage and the methanogenic stage are physically separated into two chambers. The first stage of acid production is carried out in a separate chamber, and only the diluted acids are fed into the second chamber, where biomethanation takes place and the biogas can be collected from the second chamber. So what we do is that we have the sludge inlet, sometimes the sludge heater, and we have a mixer which is mixing. So in the first stage, everything is completely mixed. So we have a fixed cover and we take the digested gas out. So these are the sludge outlets that become the sludge inlets to the second chamber. Then we have the gas storage, we have the floating cover, we have the scum layer. So the supernatant outlet is going out, the sludge outlet is going out. We have the supernatant layer and the digested sludge, and the second stage is known as the stratified stage. So what are the main features that we usually find in continuous type plants is that they will produce the gas continuously. They require smaller digestion chambers. It requires lesser time for digestion, and it has lesser problems as we compare it to the batch type plants. It's much easier in operation. Now coming to the batch type plants. So in the batch type plant, the feeding is in between intervals. The plant is emptied once the process of digestion is complete. So in this type, the battery of the digesters are charged along with lime, urea, etc. and allowed to produce gas, say, for about 40 to 50 days. These are charged and emptied one by one in a very synchronous manner, which maintains a regular supply of the gas to a common gas holder. Sometimes the freshly charged digester is aerated for a few days, after which it is closed. So, what are the main processes of the batch type plant? It is the batch type plant is analogous like producing certain things in certain batches, not in a continuous process, and then cleaning it, then again charging it, and then producing things in batches. So, the main features is that the gas production is intermittent depending upon how we are maintaining and clearing the digester. Also, it needs several digesters or chambers in series for continuous gas production, which are fed alternatively. Now, coming to the dome and the drum type, there are numerous models of the biogas plants which are divided into the floating gas holder plant and the fixed dome digester. The floating gas holder digester, which is commonly used in India, is known as the KVIC plant, and the fixed dome digester is known as the Chinese plant. And we do have different variations in the drum type, depending upon the presence of the water seal or not, or the water seal is not present. So now we have to understand about the KVIC digester. What is the KVIC digester? It is the floating gas holder digester. As we can see, there is a floating gas holder digester. So this is its basic construction. So whenever we are going to write something in the examination purpose, we need to first have an idea and draw the schematic very, very carefully. So what the schematic shows is that there's a mixing pit, and from the mixing pit there's a inlet pipe moving in, and then we have the partition wall, and then the outlet, and this is the gas holder, and this is the gas pipe, and we have the slurry, that is a mixture of cow dung and some methanogenic bacteria. So this is a common circular digester with floating gas holder and no water seal, which is known as the Khadi Village Industries Commission digester, KVIC one. So now we have to know idea about the KVIC basics. So this is the Khadi Village Industries type of biogas plant, and this is a floating gas holder or the drum type biogas plant which is used in India earlier than any other types. The design was developed and it started getting perfected in India in the year of 1954, and it was taken up for propagation in the villages in the year 1962 by the Khadi Village and Industries Commission, Mumbai. Therefore, the design is known as, in short, KVIC. The design is available in sizes of 1 cm to 140 cm gases per day, and in KVIC plant, the gas is stored in a mild stream drum of storage capacity of 30 to 40% of the plant size at a pressure of about 10 cm of water column, which is sufficient to carry it up to a length of 20 to 100 meters, depending upon the size and the overall design of the plant. Now we have the fixed dome digester, which was developed as a Chinese model, so it is also known as the China model. So as we can see, again we have the inlet, this is the digester, this is the slurry, so this is the foundation base and the gas is moving up. So this is a removable manhole covered sealed with clay. Then there's a glass valve, then there's a gas pipe, and then we have the outlet, we have a loose cover, we have the displacement tank and the outlet pipe. So as we can see, the construction is a little bit different from that of the KVIC model. So what we do in the Chinese type digester, also known as the Janta biogas plant, the Chinese have mainly gone into biogas technology for the sake of fertilizer, which comes as a byproduct of biogas. When about 5 lakhs of biogas plants exist in India. China has gone very much ahead with about 20 million plants. That's the data quite way back. The Chinese design is quite different from that of the KVIC. The Chinese design contains a fixed dome for the collection of the gas, hence, the gas availability is at variable pressures. This type of design is already shown in the previous slide. The cost of the design is low and the construction is easy, and so that is why sometimes we also go for the Chinese model, and the fixed dome is made of masonry, and this represents the floating dome of KVIC. So sometimes, in certain cases, Chinese design is also common. Now, coming to what are the basic materials that we use for generating the biogas. So, first and foremost is the animal waste like cattle dung, goat poultry droppings, slaughterhouse wastages. Then we also have human waste, and we have agricultural waste like aquatic, terrestrial, wheat crop residues, stubbles of crops, sugarcane trash, some bagasse, tobacco waste. We have also waste of aquatic origin like marine plants, twigs, and certain industrial waste from sugar factory, tannery, paper factories, etc. And the three marine plants that are basically used for biogas generation are water hyacinth, algae, and ocean kelp. So if we get a question as what are the materials used for biogas generation, we have to have an idea and we have to give details about all these important materials. Now, coming to a very, very important question, site selection consideration, where and how we will install a biogas plant and what are the necessities. So, first point is distance. The distance between the plant and the site of gas consumption should be less in order to achieve economy in pumping of the gas and minimizing gas leakage. Second point is minimum gradient. For conveying the gas, a minimum gradient of 1% should be available for the gas line. Number three is the presence of open space. The sunlight should fall on the plant as temperature ranges between 15 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is essential for gas generation at a good rate. Then we have an idea about the water table. The plant is normally constructed underground. For ease of charging the feed and unloading the slurry, it requires lesser labor. In such cases, care should be taken to prevent the seepage of water into the plant, and the plant should not be constructed if the water table is more than 3 meters or 10 feet. Then we have the point of seasonal runoff. Proper care must be taken to prevent the interference of runoff during the monsoon season. Intercepting ditches or bunds may be constructed so that the plant is not damaged. Then we have the distance from wells. The seepage of fermented slurry may pollute the overall well water, which can be the drinking water in villages. So, hence, a minimum distance of 15 meters should be maintained from the wells where we take the drinking water. Then we have space requirements. Sufficient space must be available for day to day operation and maintenance of the plant. And then there should be sufficient availability of water because if you want to mix the slurry with water and charge it, so availability of water. So if all these points are actually maintained, that particular site will be a suitable site for constructing a biogas plant of any type. Now, coming to another important part, digester design consideration. That is a digester, how it should be designed. So, the design consideration in the first point is that the volume of waste that it should be digested daily is one of the design consideration. Then, the type and the amount of waste. Then, the time that we need for digestion. Then, the methods for steering. Then the methods for adding raw material and removing of the digested slurry, efficiency of the collection of the raw waste, the climatic conditions, the availability of other cellulosic fermentable waste, information about condition and water table, soil condition, and the type of cover. So digestion tanks are needed to follow this particular design consideration before they are designed and constructed underground. Now, coming to how to maintain a healthy biogas production. So, the techniques usually suggested for maintaining a proper biogas production are insulating the gas plant. For reducing heat losses from the digester, the external surfaces are adequately insulated. Second point is composting. The heat released in anaerobic composting of agricultural residues around the annular ring in the upper part of the digester could be utilized to raise the digester operating temperatures. Now, hot water circulation. The system has been reported to be efficient for maintaining temperatures of the fermented slurry at the desired level. However, if we circulate hot water, cost is becoming much higher. Then use of chemicals. Use of chemicals such as urea and urine have been suggested by some of the workers for increasing the digester optimum temperature. And then we have the solar energy. The solar heat to the biogas digester could be provided in two distinct ways, active and passive. The active system involving heating of the digesters directly, and the second system is like preheating the digester by using stored solar energy. So all these things are needed because a definite temperature, if not maintained, the proper digestion process cannot occur and the anaerobes cannot flourish within the digester slurry or within the biomass digester slurry. Now, a very, very important point, how to compare between the two types of plants, that is the floating drum type and the fixed dome type. So first point is floating drum type has constant pressure and the fixed dome type has constant volume. The pressure in the floating dome type digester is slightly more than atmospheric pressure. The pressure inside the digester can be as high as 1 meter of water column. No danger of explosion or crash as the pressure is low. Danger of explosion exists as pressure becomes high. Now, in the floating drum type, we have no danger for the leakage of gas. Due to high pressure, there can be gas leakage. The cost is more due to floating steel drum, the cost is less. Corrosion of steel floating drum is likely no such danger. More maintenance needed due to sliding metallic drum, the less maintenance needed. Gas production is high due to lower pressure, it produces lesser gas. Installation is simple, installation is a bit difficult. So, as we can see, we have both advantages and disadvantages for the floating drum type and the fixed dome type digesters. Now, coming to the fuel properties of biogas. So, how we utilize the biogas? The main products of the biogas plants are the fuel gas and the organic manure. Biogas is a flammable gas. Methane is the only combustible portion, and hence around 60% of the volume is only usable for combustion. How we use? We use it in the villages for household cooking, for lighting, for operating small engines, for pumping water, for chafing fodder, for grinding flour. And the composition of biogas means it is a flammable gas. It includes 50 to 60% of methane, 35 to 40% of CO2, 5% hydrogen, and small traces of hydrogen sulfide and other gases. And because methane and hydrogen is present, so it makes the gas a very combustible mixture and it can be used as a fuel. So we also call the biogas as biofuel. So, this is the basic idea of how we use the waste products from animal waste or plant waste, and by using certain chemical processes, using biogas plants, using digesters, we convert it into a useful gas known as biogas or biofuel. So, thank you. Thank you for listening.